First, though, we've told you how U.S. car companies are really bouncing back after a near collapse. But even before the bailout, as General Motors faced bankruptcy, its business was booming in China.
And so is the entire auto industry. Dealerships in China selling more vehicles than anywhere else. And CBS News business and economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis is back with us again this morning with more.
Hey, guys, yeah, and it's pretty incredible growth, what we've seen out of China last year. General Motors sold more cars in China than any other place in the entire world and more than the U.S. for the first time in its 100-year history. And U.S. automakers view China as critical to their future earnings and growth. On a recent visit to China, we got a firsthand behind-the-scenes look at how this key market does its business, from the manufacturer to the dealership, and we saw firsthand what American brands mean to Chinese consumers.
At this showroom in Shanghai, you'll find plenty of Chevy fans.
What do you like about this Camaro?
Because it looks cool.
And they're moving fast.
We're doing many of the same things in China that we've done in the rest of the world, but we're doing it 5 times faster.
Kevin Whale is the president and CEO of GM's operations in China, where the economy grew by a robust 9.1% in the third quarter and is fueling demand for cars.
How important is China to General Motors?
Oh, I think it's tremendously important. China's the largest market in the world, and it's the fastest growing market in the world. Well, there's over 100 cities with more than 1 million people.
Last year, 16.6 million cars were sold here in China. That's 5 million more than sold in the entire United States. And that's a key reason why General Motors believes it must do business here in Shanghai in order to remain competitive throughout the world.
GM produces 3 brands in China: Buick, Chevrolet, and Cadillac. Most popular is the Buick Excel. GM sold more than 200,000 of them last year. But as GM's business in China continues to grow, that doesn't necessarily mean more jobs will be created at home in the United States.
Our philosophy with General Motors is we largely build where we sell. So we have excellent production facilities in the US and in Europe and in China, in Korea. So we don't try and ship into those countries on a normal strategy.
China isn't just an attractive market because of its size. Local demographics and social norms have played a key role. Car buying here is mostly done with cash.
So you'll use your debit card to buy this Camaro?
Yeah.
Another difference between the US and Chinese markets? Well, let's just say this isn't your father's or even your grandfather's Buick.
The people who buy cars are younger, so the average age for someone who's buying a Buick, for instance, is around 30 in China compared to about 60 in the US.
A lot of my friends have a Buick.
Niles Wang bought his Buick LaCrosse 3 years ago for about $33,000.
I love GM because they produce cars more than 100 years, longer than any other producers.
Would you ever buy a Chinese-made car?
I don't know. Not right now.
Chinese consumers like Niles have helped make GM the top-selling car maker in his country. With 13% of the market here, GM is back in the driver's seat, heading towards a more profitable future.
And the president of GM China told me that after the company filed for bankruptcy in 2009, it expanded its Chinese operation by 70%. He attributes that to helping the company get back on its feet.
You mentioned how they're expanding operations in China. There's always a concern here in the U.S. about jobs from the U.S. moving over to China, with GM recently talking more about producing electronic vehicles in China. Is that a concern that jobs from the U.S. could be leaving and end up over there?
It's a concern I had going on this trip, and I asked the president of General Motors China if that was going to happen. He said to me they like to produce cars in the markets where those cars are being sold. So as of now, he told me explicitly that there are no plans to move jobs from the United States to China. But that said, with the electric vehicle production and development taking place there, it's certainly something that might make sense down the road, just from a business standpoint, but not something they're planning on.
How about aside from GM, are any other American car companies doing really big business in China?
GM was first into that market back in the 1990s. Volkswagen, not an American company, got back in around that time as well. Ford has been a little bit later to the game, but their plans to beef up the brands in China are booming right now. They want to add about 15 new brands of cars, new models of cars rather, into China in the next 5 years. Right now, Ford has 5.
All right.
About 15, that's a lot.
Rebecca Jarvis, thanks.
Thanks, guys.